Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Each week, we normally recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roulette. This week, we've got something super special. I think in honor of Arbor Day, we should probably investigate Chuck Norris's love letter to environmentalism here. His 1996 film, Forest Warrior, featuring Chuck Norris and Terry Kaiser, whom you may know from Weekend at Bernie's. He's Bernie. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
Yo, yo.
And our fellow Lord of Tanglewood, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Feeling good on this Arbor Day.
Well, we hope you guys have saddled up. You're wearing your chainsaw-proof chaps, and you've brought your 8-foot-long chainsaw because it's going to be a wild ride. But, you know, before we embark on this arduous journey up to the highest peak of Mount No Name, join us as we pull up a stool at CD's Bar and Grill. Fancy meeting you guys here. It must be Sunday. They're not serving up any alky here.
Yeah, I mean, as this is a kid's movie, CD, he took all the beer bottles and he locked them up and served us up some chocolate milk.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the sardine chasers, but
when it's CDs, you know. When was the last time you guys have had chocolate milk? I think it's got to be at least 20 years for me.
Since chocolate syrup has like a half-life of 300 years, we have one that's in our cabinet, and I pulled it out, and that's weird stuff. It's not chocolate, it's not, I don't know what it is.
Just a whole lot of corn syrup.
Yeah, so when was the last time you had it, Bob? Chocolate milk?
I have no idea. Years. Definitely more than several years.
Let's crack into these CD's Bar and Grill chocolate milks.
Cheers.
Salute.
Yeah.
Doesn't taste like chocolate, but
Tastes like nostalgia.
it does. Yeah. Wow, well, I think we're ready to really dive into this movie. I was unaware that they actually drink chocolate milk in this movie.
Do they?
Yeah,
I missed that.
do. Yeah, they do.
It's part of the initiation, Bob. Jeez.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to eat 15 sardines and then,
right, and then
drink
around.
milk and then get swung around on the swing.
I was surprised I was able to find Forest Warrior on DVD less than a mile from my house. The DVD was released by Gaiam, which is a yoga company. They make yoga equipment. You see that logo on the back?
Yeah.
What's, why? Why?
They are a wellness company, so, you know.
Here's the thing. It wasn't the original release of the movie. They decided, oh, this is available. This Chuck Norris kids movie about the environment. Let's put it out under our label.
Do you know what other movies they released? This yoga company?
I've already done the work and tried to search Chuck Norris on their website. Doesn't come up. Bob, why don't you search Forest Warrior and let me know what comes up?
Deep Forest Yoga Mat?
Exactly. It's scrubbed from the existence of this company that they released this DVD.
Well, I think I just found the answer right here.
Okay.
Their name, Gaiam, is a fusion of Gaia, the name of the ancient Greek Mother Earth goddess, and I am. It means roughly, I am Earth, and is meant to encapsulate a sense of the beautiful interconnectivity of all things. At Gaiam, we believe that by nurturing, protecting, and respecting the Earth and everyone and everything that exists there, we enrich our own lives and those of future generations. So this film, that's their mission statement.
It is, but if you go to their website, it just looks like they're selling yoga mats, and those things are not biodegradable.
Everything's biodegradable if you strap explosives to it.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay. This movie is available on YouTube in some bootleg format. If anyone wants to watch it, it's kind of hard to find, but it is on there. Being that I had the DVD, though, I decided, I had to pop it in and see if there were special features, right?
Yeah, of course. What'd you find?
No
Absolutely
way.
None.
No way.
Not.
The special feature was that you could change it from English to Spanish.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you watch it again in Spanish just to see if there's any?
No, but I might revisit it. So we'll see. Yeah. So the one bonus to watching it on DVD was that there was a trailer for another movie when I popped in the DVD.
Really?
And I'm going to pull this up here for you guys.
It's not. Is it Top Dog?
It is not, which we'll get into. Let's not talk about that yet. Okay, yeah. So the trailer at the start of the DVD was for Little Hercules, which apparently was released again later in 3D. But I don't know how they would do that, considering it looked like it was filmed on like a handy cam.
I feel like my eyeballs have been assaulted by the worst that the early 2000s had to offer.
Yeah, I mean, that had Hulk Hogan as, I guess, Zeus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a sedated Hulk Hogan in a toga.
And the dad from Home Alone.
There's a quote from Little Hercules saying, "I'm Little Hercules. I'm a playa."
Anyways, it was a pretty awesome trailer. We'll definitely put it up on this week's episode page for Forest Warrior on our website, roundhouseroulette.com.
Do you think Gaiam put that one out too?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was on their DVD, so someone paid them advertisement for that. This looks comparable. The audience watching Forest Warrior would love to see...
Adam, this screams of, like, you not doing your due diligence. You need to send an email into, like, their communications guy at Gaiam and be like, hey, what's the deal with Forest Warrior and Little Hercules?
I'll do it.
Why not? I mean, the worst you can get is no response.
Well, Evan, maybe you can educate us a little bit, since we're doing this podcast special for Arbor Day, which I had never heard of before.
You haven't heard of it?
No, I actually haven't. And here's the thing. We were trying to line this up with Earth Day, and coincidentally, since we spun a 2-part episode, we had to push this a week, and it landed on Arbor Day week. So, Evan, give us a little tutorial on it. And Bob, I guess since you're from the north where all those trees are, you know all about this, but I hate trees.
You are probably more likely familiar with Earth Day, which took place a week or two prior to this. If Earth Day isn't your jam and you're like, Earth's okay, but what I really like about Earth is trees, then Arbor Day is your jam.
Yeah,
okay?
We've got a holiday for you.
Right. And it's not a holiday that's associated with any religion. It is a secular day of observance in which individuals and groups are encouraged to plant trees.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess a Forest Warrior, it kind of pairs nicely with Arbor Day.
Absolutely. This whole movie is brought on by people's desire to use trees.
Or cut them down.
Yeah. So for those of you watching along at home, if you don't want any spoilers for Forest Warrior, of which there will be many, we would recommend that you hit that pause button on our podcast, watch Forest Warrior, and I'm sure you'll want to talk about it, or at least hear somebody talk about it. So come right on back to us, and we will try to oblige. Welcome back. Forest Warrior came out in November of 1996. It features Chuck Norris in the prime of his, what would you say, his, there was sort of a second wave, which started with Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, I mean, this is in the prime Walker years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Prime Walker years here. And, it opens in a pretty exciting way with Chuck Norris running through the woods, and he's dressed in the only outfit we see him in this movie. Can someone please describe this outfit?
It's like a tan Native American onesie.
Onesie, yeah.
It's got like the beaded designs on the sleeves and around the collar, but then he's got like wolf fur around the collar.
I mean, it looks good. There's no denying that. We see him running through the woods, but then we're also, at the same time, we realize that this is a kind of a storytelling by some guy to a bunch of kids. And it keeps flashing back, and he's telling the story. Basically how he was coming back from getting medicine for his sick wife. And this is like 200 years ago, right?
Give or take.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
a while back.
It was a long time ago.
There was a group of guys that were trying to kill him. I think because he didn't want to give up the land.
Yeah, I guess logging was really big back then. I don't know. And, there must have been a shortage of trees in the 1800s in the Pacific Northwest, which there definitely wasn't at the time. So we see these guys in the rain at night in a thunderstorm, and they're like about to ambush him, and he knows it's coming. And we get our first showdown fight scene here.
It's pretty good here. And mind you, this whole scene is being described to a number of kids around the campfire, as Bob mentioned. And the guy telling the story is an older African-American actor. He kind of has like a James Earl Jones vibe.
Another movie that came out around this period of time was Babe, which is about a talking pig. This same guy is the narrator for Babe.
He does have a narrator's voice, and throughout the movie, he's basically just a narrator.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're like, what is this guy's relation to all these kids sitting around the campfire? Because they don't really explain that. It's like, well, he's telling this story of Chuck Norris's character, whose name is what?
His name is Jedediah McKenna.
Right, which people just call him McKenna for good reason. So he's telling McKenna's story to these kids, and the kids are very well behaved and attentive.
Pretty engaged, too.
Yeah.
There's one with the Jonathan Taylor Thomas haircut that's all like, I don't know, these are just legends. They're not true. But all the other kids are like, they're way too into it. They're like, oh, yeah.
That older kid, he looked like the older brother in Home Improvement, too.
He did, yeah.
Double take. I'm like, wait, is that kid?
Yeah.
I believe he was in the movie The Big Green.
Oh, is that the one with the goalie from Mighty Ducks about soccer?
Yes.
I don't know what that one was.
It was basically in response to the Mighty Ducks, I think, right?
Yeah, about a soccer team, yep. So, yeah, he starts fighting off these guys, and, they don't really stand much of a chance.
He's doing like karate kicks in his Native American garb, too, right? This is like the same kind of fighting we would see on a Walker episode.
Yeah, except like more theatrical even.
Bob, did you see one of the writers on this?
Yeah, this is basically the same crew as Top Dog, because this was a story and screenplay by Ron Swanson.
Yeah. So before he made it to Parks and Recreation, I guess this is what he was doing, working with Chuck Norris on his kids' films. Anyway, we're getting into the minutia here, but we got to get some of this stuff out of the way because there's a lot of meat on this bone.
Is there?
So pretty much McKenna, Chuck Norris's character, takes out a number of the guys. And while he's doing that, someone sneaks up in the woods with a rifle and pulls it on him. And McKenna pulls a knife. And before he can throw it at the guy with the gun, he gets shot. And we're like, wow, this would not happen in a Walker episode.
No.
Already, like a few minutes in the movie, Chuck Norris's character just got shut down.
And the worst part is, he tumbles and tumbles down into the river and gets swept away, and he never gets to see his wife again, and she was sick, He was bringing the medicine to her on his way back home when he got shot and thrown in the river, yeah. And this really takes a toll on the kids who are listening to it. So they're like, is he dead? Is he dead? And the narrator's all like, narrator's name is Clovis, by the way.
Great name.
And he's all like, well, after he got swept away, he washed up on the shore, and the three animal spirits, the bear, the wolf, and the eagle, imbibed him with the spirit of the forest, and he became the forest warrior and protects it to this day. And he has the ability to revive people from the dead and to stare down into their souls and understand what they're thinking.
Not to mention shapeshifting.
Right, he can turn into these beasts.
Yeah, he can also shapeshift, yeah, because why not, right?
They show a scene of a bear pulling him out of the water, right? And then they show like him just being pulled by the bear into the woods by his arm.
Is this a famous bear?
This is not a famous bear. This is actually a black bear. So right off the bat, the Gaiam people have it wrong with their redone cover because it features a grizzly bear on the cover, and clearly the forest warrior only turns into a black bear. So come on, Gaiam, get your details straight.
Yeah, the Photoshop person should be fired. I'll put that in my email to them. I'll definitely bring that up.
Please do. He turns into a golden eagle, which I appreciate because golden eagles are awesome. But the Gaiam DVD features a bald eagle on its cover, which is not featured in this film whatsoever. Again, Gaiam 0 for 2.
And what kind of sound did that golden eagle make?
It made a lot of red-tailed hawk noises.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
But so Chuck Norris's character, McKenna, after being pulled into the woods by this bear, was lying like on a log bed or something. It was like...
It's like an altar. It's like the forest altar.
It was like a sacrificial
much.
altar that the bear usually, eats off of. But in this case, he splays out Chuck Norris's character, McKenna, who presumably is dead, and gets up on his hind legs and I believe emits a growl.
Oh, yeah. He lets out a bellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then the spirit will-of-the-wisps around McKenna's body.
Yeah, there's some energy, CGI energy, just traveling through the forest, and then I think we get visited by all the spirits of the bird and also of the wolf, and they're all there bringing the energy of the forest into the dead body of Chuck Norris's character McKenna. It's
like a Fern Gully moment, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after quite a ceremony and excellent CGI, I was actually pleasantly surprised by it.
Pleasantly surprised?
I mean, they went for it. I wasn't expecting them to go for it. He could have just woken up. And Chuck Norris's eyes, they slowly open. He's back alive and now part of the forest. He is the thing they don't say in the movie ever once. He is the forest warrior.
He's the spirit of the mountain. That's what they really call him.
Anyway, long story short, this is what Clovis ends the story with. And then he protected the mountain from then on after being revived and becoming a spirit by nature itself. And the kids are like, is that real? And Clovis is like, we'll have to save that for another day, kids.
So after their campfire, they have to put out the campfire, and the I would say protagonist is this teenage girl who's in the group. Her name is Austine, and she's telling one of the other kids, she's like, oh, I can't believe he never saw his wife. That's so sad. And one of the other kids is like, it's not real. It's totally not real. But anyways, they get called over by their parents, and they all go to the town meeting.
And this is where we first meet the bad guy of this movie, who is portrayed by Walker, Texas Ranger alumni, and professional dead person, Terry Kaiser. And he's playing a lumber tycoon who grew up in this community, but now owns a logging company, and his name is Travis Thorne.
And in case you were wondering whether he was a bad guy, he's literally dressed like Uncle Pennybags from Monopoly.
Yeah. He's got the vest, but
complete with the hat.
Yeah. His name also gives it away, too.
It sounds like he's trying to log old growth forest, and the town is completely and totally against it. And he's like, well, you guys just have to vote on it. And we won't do anything until you guys vote on it. So the people in the town seem very upset about the prospect of trees being cut down. But Travis Thorne assures them that there's money in them there trees. Yeah. But they're not hearing it. And while this meeting is going down and the kids are stuffing their faces with junk food, Austine's father stumbles in, and he's played by Michael Beck, whom we know as the main protagonist and Nobel Prize winner in the Walker, Texas Ranger episode Flashpoint.
Yep, and he
Irish
plays
one?
Irishman.
Okay, yeah,
he has one of the worst Irish accents. And rest assured, he's in another episode playing the same character.
Yeah, so a lot of Walker, Texas Ranger alum. But yeah, in this one, he plays Austine's father, and he shows up at this town meeting, I guess a little late, and it's implied that he's drunk. Like, they don't say
heavily implied, but also like poorly acted and not implied heavily enough for anyone to really know.
They probably just didn't want to get anything about alcohol into this movie. Yeah, so he was drunk, and he showed up there, and she essentially is like, it's okay, Dad, I'll take you home. And he reaches for the keys in his jacket pocket, and she puts her hand on it and says, no, we're going to walk.
So yeah, she takes him home and puts him to bed or whatever. And then she says a really weird prayer to the forest gods.
Is she
this
praying
might
to
be
Jesus or Chuck Norris?
Oh yeah, exactly. This
Somewhere
could be
between.
the best scene in the movie. This
It
might
probably
be
was. Yeah, I think it was.
All right, so she puts her drunk father to bed. She sits down at the window overlooking the forest, and she says a prayer. Well, what does she say, Evan?
All I know is she ends it with amen, and Chuck Norris's character is in the woods in his ridiculous garb and stupid long hair, and he just like materializes in the woods, and he's like, amen.
I think she was praying to God, not Chuck Norris, but maybe not. I mean, you could pray to anything, but hey, I'm going to pray to the forest warrior tonight.
You do that.
Mm-hmm.
You see where it gets you.
Just don't look out any windows. You might see Chuck Norris with long hair in a bush.
I mean, anywhere I look, I see that. So
You better get that checked out,
Yeah,
man.
you might want to talk to somebody. Did he turn into a bear just right then, or was this later on? The first time he just straight up turns into a
I
bear.
think he then he jumps off of the log after saying amen, and instead of you seeing his feet land on the ground, you see a bear's feet land on the ground.
Yeah.
there's a lot of implied morphing for him in this movie, and it's awesome every time it happens.
This was the first one, though, and I was just like, oh, that's where we're going. It's like, I know they said shapeshifter earlier, but I didn't know it was going to be part of the plot. Here we go. Now he's a bear.
Oh,
Cool. Okay, cool.
So good.
Yeah. So the next day, we learned that these kids are all going to go up to the mountain, and this is the first time that the youngest of the kids, Logan, is coming along. So they have to look out for Logan, and all the kids are packing up all their sweet stuff, and they've got all their backpacks and everything. And they've all got their sick bikes that have no gears.
Exactly.
And they're about to cruise on up to the mountain. And while they're all like joining together, you get your first real glimpse at like how close the mountain is to this town. It's like this spire that's alone. It's the only mountain. It's covered in snow at the top. And from these images, the perspective makes it look like it's hundreds of miles away. So for them to say that it's their mountain, it's like, you're never actually on a mountain in this entire movie.
Right. It kind of looks like the Paramount Mountain.
It does. It looks exactly like it. Complete with the snow caps.
Yeah. It just doesn't have the stars going across the top, but other than that, it's basically the same.
Well, I mean, Chuck Norris was on the mountain, so there's at least one star.
Oh, nice. So the kids make one last pit stop, and they stop at Clovis's shop. And he's like, you forgot one thing, toilet paper.
Yeah, I mean, the kids were going to go up there without TP, so he kind of saved them there.
Toilet paper and water. That's all you need.
I don't know if they had water. They definitely had chocolate milk, but all right. So anyway, so he throws them a toilet paper roll, and they go off. And yeah, again, I noticed their bikes had no speeds, and they're going up the mountain. It's like, come on.
Yeah, they would die. This is when we get our first look at how bad Travis Thorn is. We pay a visit to Travis Thorn's lumber yard. And every time we see Travis Thorn's lumber yard, not only do we get, I think, highly educational, kind of fun, sort of how it's made style imagery of
Sawmill.
logging. Yeah, sawmill. Yeah. But you know that it's bad and it's in a kid's movie because this goofy circus music plays whenever you visit this place. He basically says there are like 1 million board feet of wood up in those mountains, and I want them.
Did this movie give you guys some Twin Peaks vibe?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they ripped off a bunch of the shots from the opening from Twin Peaks of all like the logging equipment.
Yeah, sharpening the teeth of the saws and stuff. I didn't even notice that. It's funny.
I could probably do a little trailer, take the Twin Peaks theme and throw it on Forest Warrior, and we got a whole new movie.
So yeah, this is where we establish that, Travis Thorn is going to log those woods no matter what happens. And his lawyers have basically gotten a temporary permit, which I don't quite understand because it's a temporary permit to remove trees. Which is permanent.
Right.
So, I don't know. But yeah, on some technicality, it sounds like they're going to be able to log the woods. So he sends his crew up there to start surveying. And his crew is led by this real tough guy who goes by the name Williams. So they go up there to survey into the mountains. And then we get a montage of the kids going into the woods. They do it to a song that I have to imagine is called Summertime. And it sounds like Sammy Hagar, like Bargain Basement Sammy Hagar.
Oh, really? So I actually looked it up because I thought it was John Cougar Mellencamp, Shazamming it and trying to figure it out. Like, no, it doesn't exist.
He sounds like Sammy Hagar.
Okay.
So I will say, they may not have splurged on the rights for songs. They might have splurged on some other things. But one thing they did splurge on was the animal budget for this film.
Right.
I wrote down,
It was on point.
Yeah, it was amazing. So just in this montage, they've got a badger, a golden eagle. Of course, the badger is in a tree, which is baffling because they live underground. But okay. There's a great horned owl, an American kestrel, and an eastern screech owl, and a golden eagle. So, I mean, their animal budget, really pretty legit. I was pretty impressed by that.
Props for that. So anyway, the kids are jamming out. There's a montage of them playing in the forest. Essentially, it's Mungo Jerry's In the Summertime, but rewritten so that they didn't have to pay Mungo Jerry anything. Right. And they're playing in the woods. And the kid that they're supposed to look after, Logan, gets lost.
And just ditch him.
Yeah, this is extremely unbelievable writing for kids. Like, he's with the group, and then all of a sudden, they're not making any noise. There's no sound. There's no sign of his friends anywhere, and he's alone in the woods. What?
Instantly. And then the kid starts flipping out.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then he's like, eventually lying on the ground, like kind of like, ah, and then he hears his friends playing. I actually thought that, the forest warrior might come talk to him, but no. He hears his buddies playing at this treehouse that just apparently is where they're going.
Baller treehouse.
The epic treehouse. It looks like they're on the forest moon of Endor. In fact, they may have just gotten like
some leftover set pieces.
It might be a leftover set piece actually from one of those Ewok movies, now that I think of it.
Yeah.
But
they even had like the tree that was hollowed out that you could go up to get to the second floor, which was awesome. Yeah. I wish I had a treehouse like that.
Do you want it with a bear inside of it?
Oh,
well,
yeah, they did have a surprise.
Yeah, this was kind of weird. Like, so the three kids are up in the treehouse. They have kind of like a cabin area, and they went into it, and they're like, "Oh, there's a monster in there! Oh no!" And then Logan, who just got there, is like, "Oh, you guys are having fun. I'm not about to leave now. Let me go look in there. I don't believe you. You're trying to scare me.
You're messing with me."
Again, strike two as far as them looking out for Logan.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, there's a bear in there. Yeah, we'll see you later, Logan." And so Logan goes in, and he too runs out and says, "Oh no, there's something in there." And you're like, "What is it?"
And it's a bear cub, a black bear cub.
Little tiny guy.
Harmless,
but very chatty.
Super chatty.
This thing makes so many noises, and I'm sitting here going like, do bears make noises like that?
Did you guys watch the credits? Because there was literally a credit for the bear voice in the credits.
Oh, there was? Okay. Well, question answered. There you go.
So they're all like, wow, we can't really keep it. Bears make really bad pets. And this was like their PSA against keeping bears as pets, I guess.
Yeah, but then they keep it as a pet for the rest of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, they name it Rags, and it hangs out with him throughout the movie. And if they need to fill any time in, they just throw in a bear montage. It might be the bear like climbing a tree or doing something funny. Maybe it's falling off a log. That's really cute. Mm-hmm. So, just throw it in there. Because I guess this is a kid's movie, I guess. And what do kids like? They like seeing kids their age scream at each other incoherently. And they like watching bears fall off of logs. So
I'm not going to lie. That was some of the best parts. It was that bear. He was cute.
Good actor, that bear.
Hopefully he was paid well.
Cut to the surveyors. And the guy's got like a Write in the Rain notebook and a compass. And they're just surveying a tree. And I'm
dude,
like...
You were getting off on all the gear he was using, dude.
I was just like, okay, they're doing something real. But then one of the guys nails a spike into a tree, and the forest groans, and he's all like, what? And then all of a sudden, Rags the bear shows up, And this is when they turn into bad guys because they're like, grab your guns. There's a bear. Let's go shoot it.
He's a little small, but let's kill him anyway.
Yeah, so they chase the bear.
And the bear is making all the sounds you were just talking about, Bob, when he's running away from these guys that are trying to kill him. It's like...
Yeah, so one of the kids notices these 3 grown men with rifles chasing a baby bear through the woods, and he sends the danger signal, which is banging on a log too long and too short. So there you go. That's the danger signal for these kids.
Now, I didn't understand if it was stay away from the sound because there's danger or go into danger because
it's
there's
definitely
danger.
run towards the sound.
Right.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Yep. So they run towards it and realize that this bear, Rags, their pet bear, is being chased by these 3 dastardly beings. So they are able to catch up with them just in time to see these 3 grown men having treed a bear cub, talking about what they're going to do with it once they shoot it. And this girl's like, no, you can't shoot that bear. You'd think they're like, oh, now we've been seen. We can't poach this animal in this wildlife refuge. Instead, they're like, oh, I'm not going to shoot it. I'm going to skin it alive. And the guy pulls out a knife. He's like, what like, what the heck is happening right now? And he moves in, and for me, this is the best scene in the movie.
As a birder, I mean, this probably has to be.
Oh, for sure. They've got all this sick footage of a golden eagle in flight, right? Including like grainy footage like they'd use in that episode of Walker, Texas Ranger of like one really far away that's flying. And, you know, they, as we said before, they throw in the red-tailed hawk scream. So you know it's like a mean bird of prey, right? Yeah. And so this bird of prey comes swooping down, and they get the footage of the golden eagle stooping. And then they get footage of an eagle flying through the woods, and then quick edit to that eagle's face turning into Chuck Norris's flying foot right at the dude's face. And it's like that is the best point in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So he transformed from an eagle into a flying kick.
I think perhaps even more impressive than that is the fact that nobody realizes that an eagle flew at a dude and then shapeshifted into a human with superpowers, with super strength.
No one referenced that at all.
Nobody thought that was weird. Not only does he have shapeshifting powers, he also has super strength. He just throws people like long distances.
Yeah, didn't he take a guy by his like suspenders and essentially use it as like a slingshot?
Yeah. He's throwing guys all over the place. Yeah, they don't really stand a chance at all.
Yeah, so this is kind of the first shakedown with Thorne's goons, his lumberjack goons, and the forest warrior just wrecks house when they're trying to get that bear. And do they scatter?
Well, he throws one guy. The first guy he throws lands, and this is where we see one of the small areas of overlap between Aaron Norris films and kids films. Okay, bathroom humor and nut shots. So bathroom humor is the toilet paper, right? Okay, that was earlier on. And then this guy gets thrown and he lands with a large log between his crotch. And just when you think that's cringeworthy enough, he's all like, oh! And then you see the shot of the kids and they're all like, oh! And you know that off the screen, Aaron Norris is coaching them to be like, okay, grab your crotch and say, oh, like this. You know he was telling him to do that.
I'm glad he did.
After he bests these guys in combat, he breaks their guns.
Over his knee. Yeah,
he breaks one over his knee, and then the other one he throws into the woods. And I was like, "Oh, that's not gonna do anything," but it hits a tree and shatters.
Yeah, they make a point to show that it's broken.
Yeah, and then the forest warrior says, "Get off the mountain," and they all go away.
Honestly, Chuck Norris probably has about 7 lines in this movie.
He doesn't have much,
and they're all like that.
Yeah. So after they run away, he sits down with the girl and she's like, is Rags okay? Can we keep him as a pet? And he's like, the forest is his home. And she's like, so he has a mother? And he's like, no, his mother died, but he likes the forest and he'll hang out with you. So then she's talking to him and he just disappears, right? Again, no one thinks that this is weird. And the boys walk over after he disappears and she's like, you missed it. He disappeared. They're like, who? And she's like, the guy. And they're like, what guy? It's like, you guys just watched him destroy a whole bunch of people.
Right. They were
He
actually
changed from
cheering
an
him on.
eagle.
Transformed from an eagle into a human. You
Right.
guys didn't
Like-
see that?
Like, we don't know who that is. It's like, what are you talking about? And then they're like, Justine, you were talking to the bear.
Oh, right. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so the bad guys go back and they're like, the survey went okay, but we didn't quite finish it. He's like, what do you mean you didn't finish it? And they're like, these kids came out and then this hippie came and bested us. He didn't tell them. The hippie broke our guns over his knee and threw us through the woods after shapeshifting from an eagle. Thorne's like, wait, kids? I should have known. It's summer. They're on vacation and they're up by that stupid fort. And he starts like waxing poetic almost about how lovely the fort was. And he's like, never mind. Burn it down.
Yeah, so he sends his goons back up to the woods to essentially take down the treehouse so the kids will leave the mountain.
Meanwhile, they're taking a nap, I guess, after their excursion, and the bear's still hanging out. It's eating their toilet paper now.
Yeah, he's playing around with the toilet paper or whatever, and around this time, they do this weird initiation. Like, if you watch the trailer, and it almost seems like the kids are conjuring up Captain Planet.
It's like a seance.
But in the movie, it doesn't really have a lot of relevance, does it?
No.
No, but they indoctrinate Logan. First, he has to eat a bunch of sardines, and then he has to drink chocolate milk, and then they spin him on a swing for a while, and then he becomes a member of, he becomes a lord, and he's a lord of Tanglewood, and Tanglewood is the name of the town they're from. They never mentioned the name of the mountain in this movie, which is ridiculous. But let's assume it's Tanglewood Mountain.
Why not?
Mount Tanglewood.
So then they stand around a fire and they're like, we have to do it at nightfall. And Logan's like, why is it at nightfall? And this one kid's like, because our ancestors before us did it that way. It's really weird. It's like, okay, cool.
Then we get some Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Definitely. They
stuff.
just throw stuff into the fire that like flares up.
And don't they say something at the end?
We ask you to leave it pure as found. We are to it forever bound.
And Chuck Norris appears in the woods, almost like they conjured him, but like he's also watching over them and also creeping on them. And does he say that too? Does he say that the last line with him?
We are to it forever bound. So yeah, they go fishing, and there's a little fishing montage. You know, obviously Austin bests them in fishing because she's just awesome at everything. She's got a friend who's a bear, so of course she's good at fishing.
She's bagging bass left and right.
Yeah. You know, who taught her how to fish if her dad's getting drunk all the time? Just saying.
If she had to provide dinner and go get fish, that's probably where she learned it.
He's too busy getting lit up.
So they're out fishing, and the bear's with them, of course, and it falling off logs and just generally being fun.
Yeah.
As they're having a great time splashing around in the water, you zoom back, and the super skeezy guy with the crazy beard, Williams, is behind a tree, and he says to the others, he's like, great, they're playing right now. They'll be here all day. Let's go. And they go, and we're like, oh no, they're going to tear down the treehouse. But what's their method of tearing down the treehouse?
This is right out of Walker, Texas Ranger.
For sure.
A neatly wrapped bundle of TNT with a timer.
Classic.
It's set to blow in an hour.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, wouldn't you would stay to watch it blow down so you don't accidentally hurt any of the kids and have a liability on your hands?
No. Just assume that the kids won't be back until night.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what they
Seems
do.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they set it and forget it. And then little Logan, he falls in the water and starts screaming. And I was kind of expecting there to be like a leech or something.
Yeah.
But apparently he fell, and so they put some ketchup on his arm, and they're like, oh no, you've got to cut. We need to get the first aid kit that's in the cabin. I'm like, oh no, you can't go back to the cabin. It's got TNT strapped to it. What's going to happen?
It's real. They all go back there, and then she's like about to clean the fish. And she's like asking all the guys, like, who's going to help me with this? And all of them are like, Oh, we need to go get firewood.
While they leave the girl behind cleaning the fish at the cabin, the forest warrior pays a little visit to the logging team again. He finds their truck, and they're like, oh, okay, round 2 here. Let's take them out this time. There are more of us. And he cleans their clock again. And did you guys notice a familiar friend? We've already seen him in like 2 or 3 episodes of Walker.
Okay.
He's a short dude with the mullet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this guy's in there, and he gets punched out, and then a flying squirrel jumps on him. Because, insult to injury, right?
Right.
He takes the guys out, and then he stares Williams in the eyes. And this is where he has his, mental ability to see what has transpired in somebody's mind. And he realizes that the explosives were set at the cabin. And he turns into eagle form and blasts off.
Yeah, because he knows he has to save Austin, who's in the treehouse. He's like, oh no, the bomb's about to go off. Turn into an eagle. I'm going to save her. It blows up just as he's picking her up, right? And it looks like he saved her to me.
Right.
But apparently he didn't. And apparently he didn't save Rags the bear either. It got crushed.
Yeah.
Right.
It was kind of dark.
Yeah, like it was Rags the bear was like pinned, and you see a pinned bear under this rubble of this explosion.
And in case you were wondering what it is, you hear Rags go,
At that point, I was just like, the girl is hurt, but probably fine. The bear will be fine. But that's not really the case, is it?
No, they're down for the count. Mm-hmm. And the boys hear this, and they're like, oh my God, what happened? They run back to the treehouse, and the treehouse is in smithereens.
And they're all looking for Austin. They're like, Austin, where is she? She was in there. Is she dead?
At first, they just arrive, and they're like, what happened? What is going on? And then finally, one of them realizes, oh, wait, Austin was here. We should probably look for her. And then they immediately give up looking for Austin. And one of the kids, in like some of the worst writing for kids, is like, see, there is no there is no spirit of the mountain. He would have stopped this. There's no spirit. Anyway, so they immediately give up and jump on their bikes and rush down to town. And they go into Clovis's store. And not only is Clovis there, but Austin's dad is there too. And they immediately jump in her dad's Bronco and cruise up.
That thing is sick.
Can we just say that this guy was probably drunk too, by the way?
Right. If we know anything about him.
And Clovis is going to let like all the kids jump into a drunk deputy's car and go up to the mountain. That just doesn't sound right.
No. See, what was happening was he was going to the general store. He was about to pick up his liquor for the day from Clovis's store, but he got interrupted. So they cruise up there, and the sheriff and Clovis come after them. And, these are the only 3 able-bodied men in town, apparently. So they're the only ones there. And they're picking through the rubble. And Austin's dad has, like, the most over-the-top meltdown.
Yeah, but, his daughter might have just died. So I don't think it's kind of really mean for you to judge the way that he was acting in that moment, Evan.
I look forward to hearing other people's take on this. Meanwhile, we see Austin come to in epic fashion.
From a pretty familiar spot too, right?
Yeah, she's at like the bear's altar where Chuck Norris's character was reincarnated earlier in the film, and you're like, is she dead or is she injured?
At this point, we had no idea what was going on.
Right. You're like, I'm thinking she's dead because Chuck Norris's character was dead earlier. So if she's brought back, will she also be a forest warrior? This is what I'm thinking right here.
Yeah, she should be immortal.
Yeah, right.
They left it open for a sequel, guys.
Yeah.
So her dad's having a meltdown, and then a hand comes down onto his shoulder, and it's her. And there's yet another like really over-the-top awkward exchange between him and his daughter.
He's like, look, I thought you were dead, and I'm going to be a better father now, and this is what I needed. All I needed was for you to die.
Yeah, pretty much. So they go back into town, and they're like, well, someone saw some explosives in the back of one of Thorne's trucks. And this makes me wonder, did the forest warrior use the telephone to call in an anonymous tip? So they're like, okay, all right, this is pretty good detective work. And they're like, so do you think Thorne his people blew up the treehouse. And this other deputy's like, yeah, everything points to Thorne being guilty. They're like, okay, well, let's get some warrants and go arrest him. And so they have to wait for warrants, which is maybe the most realistic part of this movie.
Well, or, also the battle between corporate greed and nature, is real. It's tangible. It's something you might not think about on a daily basis, Evan, but something us more naturalistic folk think of, right, Bob?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I know Adam celebrates Arbor Day every year, so.
Religiously, I've been told. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many trees are you going to plant this year?
Bob, non-religiously, please.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Good point.
Non-denominational.
Yeah. So while they're working on getting this warrant for his arrest, all these trucks go cruising by, and they're logging trucks headed up to the mountain. And they're like, wait, he got a temporary permit to log up there.
Yeah.
Again, temporary permit to permanently remove trees seems like it's not a thing.
And they're like, they can only start at noon. Kind of arbitrary. Wouldn't you want to get a full day's work for your crew?
Yeah, pretty sure those woodsmen start pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
Thorne, he wants to be there in person when they start logging. So he gets Williams and his lawyers in the car because the lawyers, they're the ones who got the temporary permit. So he wants them to be responsible for that permit. And so he and then a trailing vehicle, they both head up towards the mountain to the logging operation. Meanwhile, while they're on their way up there, the kids are all like, well, the cops are waiting for this permit, and we know Thorne's going to go start cutting down the trees. We have to protect the forest, so let's do it. And they have their own little Home Alone moment.
Yeah, and it also kind of reminded me of Ernest Goes to Camp.
See, I was going to go E.T.
All right, yep. Not as well done as any of those.
Nope.
So yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. They lay the trap, they put a log across the road, and then kind of brutally, they put thumbtacks all over it. So anyone who tries to pick it up gets stabbed. That seems pretty brutal. So they put that there, and then while they're sort of stuck against the road, two of the kids use fishing lines to snag the antenna from the trucks and pull them off of the trucks.
These are some skilled fishermen.
And then another kid the Jonathan Taylor Thomas kid dressed in camo, he rolls out of the woods with a bag of potatoes and smushes some spuds into the tailpipes of the two trucks and rolls back into the woods. And then they just wait. And while this is happening, the trailing vehicle has a goofy character by the name of Buster. And he's super familiar because he's in pretty much everything. This is an actor, a Russian actor, Ilya Baskin, who is not only in the pilot of Walker, Texas Ranger, he's in a whole bunch of other things. But he's all like, oh, I'm noticing something. And Thorne keeps being like, shut up. You don't notice anything. And Thorne is convinced that it's a bunch of hippies in the woods that are trying to stop them.
Tree huggers.
Yes, he calls them the green weenies.
Little green weenies.
Anyways, Buster realizes that they can't go anywhere and their trucks won't start because there are potatoes stuck in the tailpipe. So he removes the potatoes and they're able to move on. And then the kids have to go to Plan B. Or sorry, not Plan B, Plan 2.
Yeah.
They call it Plan 2. And Plan 2 is basically nails in the road. So
I feel like that should have been Plan 1.
Yeah,
It's a more surefire way to stop them is to pop their tires.
Yeah, they're going to try to murder them instead because their trap is set such that the truck rolls over and pops its tires on the nail mat, right? And so that happens. And then someone steps out of the car to check out what happens. And when that happens, they have a lasso that's buried underground that's going to snag that person's leg. And it's attached to like a 300-pound log that's rolling downhill. And so Travis Thorne steps out and they're like, do it. And they kick this log and it pulls him through the woods for like a quarter of a mile downhill through trees, all this stuff. And I'm like, this guy would be so dead. He goes flying past the kids and they're like, ha, we got him. It's like, you're murdering him. Yeah. So this is the case number 2 of them using the dummy, because through most of this, it's a dummy getting pulled through the woods. Then it's like the log falls off this giant cliff, and I'm like, oh my God, they can't possibly have this guy get like pulled 300 feet down into a river, and so then you see him, like it hits the water, and then you see Thorn, and he's like, oh, okay, it's stopped, we're all good. But then the river takes the log and keeps pulling him, and he falls into the river. And they got a real stunt guy to do this.
Yeah, it's a person. He's moving as he's. I'm like, they tied, and he had rope tied around his legs too.
Yep, rope around his legs into the river. At this point, I'm like, well, there's no way they're gonna find this guy again, because he's easily a quarter of a mile away down a 300-foot cliff in a river. But in the next scene, he's back at the cars. So, yeah, they're like, okay, well, I guess we got to radio into these guys in the truck. And at this point, we see these logging guys that are just, like, sitting around. And the loggers are like, man, I just really want to go cut down some trees.
Yeah. That was so good.
I wish he'd call us so we could just go cut down some trees. Do you really want to work if you don't have to? Like,
I mean, they don't get paid. They get paid by the tree, apparently. So,
well, no, they just want to cut them down. They don't even care. They're just like, yeah, we're just
they're
gonna
not
go
doing
cut
it for
them
the
down.
money.
oh.
Yeah. It's passion.
It's just hatred for trees, really.
Yeah. So they're waiting around, and meanwhile, Logan, the youngest kid, he's up at the top of this hill that's central to all of this, and he actually was able to collect one of the Williams's radio when Williams was first beat up by the bad guys, and so he now has the send button taped down on his on that walkie-talkie, and it's on the same channel as everyone else's.
Yeah, everyone has to be on the same channel of their walkie-talkie so Thorn can say, all right, time to cut down trees. And if he can't say that, then they can't cut down the trees.
Of course. So Logan's in the woods there, and he makes a point to go through his tape collection because he's got a boombox there too.
I think his fingers stopped in his cassette binder, and he's like, all right, demo songs that sound like Little Richard. Here we go.
So he cranks in this sick tape, and it blasts the hit single Raylene,
which is like Lucille, and it's like, what's the Chuck Berry one that's like that?
This song is called Raylene, and it's performed by the Buddha Heads. And it was written and performed by the same people who did the song prior called Summertime. So they play this song over the loudspeakers, and not only does it confuse Travis Thorn when he tries to turn on his radio and they realize they've been foiled, but the guys waiting to do work, they just love it. They can't get enough of it. There's some primal dance moves that are about to get busted out, and it all starts with one guy with an empty gas can, and he just starts drumming on it. And then another dude pulls up chainsaw with like a 4-foot blade on it, and he starts shredding on it. And I don't mean shredding trees. He starts shredding like it's an air guitar. Yeah. And that's when you get like a Village People-esque music video going on with all these guys in like plaid and tank tops and with chainsaws and hard hats are dancing to this song. And I don't think that the Buddha Heads could have gotten a better music video than this.
Yeah, seriously. Amazing.
So Logan's back dancing along to the music while he's trolling everybody. He's like, haha, this is fun. And he's so involved in dancing that he doesn't watch his surroundings. And Williams shows up and says, oh, it's you. I should have known. And I don't know. What's he going to do to poor Logan here?
Yeah, he looks like he's like ready to kill this kid. And the kid's like, I know karate. And the guy's like, you're tiny. You're like Bruce Lee. No, you're like Bruce Flea.
Wah, wah. And he's like, okay, I'm going to let you just punch me in the jaw. And he closes his eyes and he puts his chin out. He's like, come on, hit me. And Logan, the kid's kind of like, I don't know if I really want to do this. This is weird. And the guy doubles down. Come on, hit me in the face. Show me your kung fu.
Yeah. And he wishes he didn't because he gets a flying eagle fist to the face from Chuck Norris.
And he materializes in his full McKenna garb right next to Logan. And Williams is on the ground nursing his wounds. And he's like, oh.
I mean, they just have like another fight again. And the guy's like, why don't you fight me like a man? And he's like, okay, like an Englishman? And then he does like the fisticuffs and punches the guy in the face. And the guy's like, no, not like that. And then Chuck Norris is like a woodsman or something. And the guy's like, yeah. And he comes running at Chuck Norris, and Chuck Norris then just like flings him a bunch of times.
Right. And essentially gets him on his knees. And he's like, there, now he's your size, Logan. And Logan comes in for the final blow.
And he like kicks the guy in the face.
With a Walker sound effect, it was legit.
Oh, yeah. It's really not preaching any of this nonviolence stuff.
Well, that was not this movie. This is just don't be violent against nature. You can be violent against your fellow man.
Yeah.
You know?
As we've established, that guy was about to kill a bear. He's tried to kill Chuck Norris multiple times, and he was probably about to skin that child alive. So if he gets kicked in the face, it doesn't really matter.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Meanwhile, back on the road, they've gotten in the second vehicle behind that doesn't have a flat tire, and they're trying to drive forward on the road because they want to just start cutting trees down even though it's not noon yet. And the kids, they join hands and stand all across the road. Thorne isn't going to let this stop him. He grabs a gun, gets out of the car, and is about to shoot the kids.
Yeah, he's like, there's 4 of you and I've got 5 bullets, so someone's going to get it twice.
Yeah. It's like brutal. Yeah, like these people are horrible.
Yeah, he really wanted to cut down some trees today.
Yeah. So he's about to shoot them, and just as he's about to do that, wolf form shows up and distracts him with the gun just long enough for the cops to show up, at which point he freaks out and starts running into the woods, and the lawyers are freaking out too and running into the woods. And kind of a little bit of chaos ensues where, he's trying to escape the law, but it's not working in his favor, really.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all the lumberjacks are like, well, I know we're supposed to wait till noon, and we're supposed to wait till we get like the green light.
We're just going to start cutting trees down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he takes his giant chainsaw blade, lays it into a tree, and his blade stopped moving. And he's like, what's going on? He looks up, and there's a hand on his chainsaw blade stopping it from moving. And we see that McKenna, Spirit of the Mountain, has stopped him from cutting down the tree with his bare hands. And this is probably the most famous scene from the movie because it's a GIF that is, anytime you look up Chuck Norris, this is one that comes up.
For good reason. It's amazing.
So after he stops the chainsaw from working, though, these guys want to cut down trees so bad, so bad, that they're all like, okay, well, I guess we're going to try to beat the crap out of this guy. So they just all hand around sticks, and they all come at him, and he just launches them all everywhere.
So good. So then I guess we cut back to Terry Kaiser's bad guy, Travis Thorne, who's in the woods. He's trying to run away from the sheriff, and he gets visited by McKenna, Spirit of the Mountain, forest warrior. McKenna says, bad day? And Terry Kaiser's trying to like play it off like he's just like lost or something, right?
Oh, yeah.
And McKenna's like, I know that you almost burnt down the forest when you were little. And Terry Kaiser's like, oh, well, that was an accident. I didn't tell anybody that. How do you know about that? He's like, I stopped it.
Yeah. That's all I care about is the almighty dollar.
And then Chuck Norris morphs into a bear and says, how about no? To which Thorne understandably freaks the hell out and rolls back down the mountain. I mean, he is having an extremely rough day.
Yeah.
He keeps falling down hills.
Yeah.
But when he rolls to the bottom and he just so happens to land at the sheriff's feet, he is a changed man. He is now a naturalist, and it doesn't seem like he's faking it. It seems like once he saw a human transform into a bear, that he was ready to transform himself into a naturalist and stop cutting down trees. Problem was it was too late because he already committed a bunch of felonies, so they threw him in the back of a cop car, and we're like, okay, they got this guy, great. Then you pan over to Steen's father, and the current sheriff is like, you did so much to help us here, and we want you back on the force if you want to be a deputy. And he's like, yeah, I do. And they pin a badge on him, and Steen sees it, and she's like, oh, my dad's back. He's going to actually be a father for me.
Now he gets a gun.
Yeah. Oh, God. Come on, man. He's Irish.
True. He already
Which
had
means
one.
he drinks and he already had a gun.
Yep. Yeah, so, he's back and everything is all good now. And cut to, a montage of the entire town rebuilding the tree fort, complete with their culturally appropriated totem pole.
It was like a giant Teddy Graham, essentially.
Yeah, it's probably made out of styrofoam. And they're building that, and that's all good. And Austin kind of looks back in the woods, and she sees the forest warrior, and he kind of gives her the nod. Then he points to his right, and she's all like, oh, he did get to meet his wife. And then both of them, the forest warrior and his wife, disappear. And we are led to believe that his mission is done, and he can kind of go on his way.
You know what I thought at that point? I go, after he was brought back to life, he went to see his wife, and she was also dead. Then he had to bring her back to life. So now she's immortal, too.
I think both of them were ghosts. Well, this is very much like Return of the Jedi at the end, where the Force ghosts show up and they're all partying.
Yeah, in Endor.
Yep, and she's the only one who sees them.
Oh, man. It's just, he was kind of like a Luke Skywalker and Rey character.
Yeah, well, just like Luke Skywalker was the last of the Jedi, I'm pretty sure Austin has the Forest Warrior powers, and in Forest Warrior 2, she'll come back as the Forest Warrior.
Yep, that sequel will be out any year now.
Mm-hmm.
Straight to YouTube. Wow. I mean, that was a ride, wasn't it?
Sure was.
It was something. Well, that about sums it up for this film. We'd like to give a shout out to our friend and collaborator Adam Lauritsen, who's been drawing the amazing Walkerstrations on our social media. Be sure to check out his other art on Instagram at @ImaginationRunAmok. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate Forest Warrior. Don't you dare miss that. Hooey! Can't wait to cut down some here trees.
I hear you, brother. I hate trees. That's why I moved to Oregon to become a lumberjack.
And if there's one thing I hate more than anything, it's that while I'm sleeping, I can't cut down stinking trees.
Man, that's what dreams are for, am I right?
Ooh, look! A treehouse!
Oh, let's go to work.
Chainsaws up. Oh, my nose! That eagle turned into a hippie woodsman who knows karate.
The forest is a sacred space. You shall not lumber its ground to line your pockets.
And what are you going to do about it, hippie? I ain't afraid of you.
How about now?
He done morphed into a bear and kicked me in the chestnuts.
While I've got your attention, we here at Roundhouse Roulette have pledged to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world. If you'd like to lend us a hand in that mission, please share the pod with a friend or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're looking for the finest mercantile this side of the lumberyard, we've recently added some fresh merch at roundhouseroulette.com, or hit up our Patreon page. Most importantly, though, thank you for listening and making this journey worthwhile.
I used to wrestle bears in college. Come at me, bro.
Bro, I wouldn't do that, bro.
How about a wolf? Ever wrestle one of them?
Ugh, gee willikers.
I told you.
Oh, t-shirt peddling, shape-shifting hippie karate spirit. We've done learned our lesson.
Yeah, we'll never even dream of cutting down a tree again.
My work here is done. I'll let you kind folks get back to the show.
Welcome back. So, what do you guys think of this fine film?
This movie actually surprised me. It was better than I thought. You know, as an adult, it probably was a slog to get through, but I might have watched this as a kid. You know, for a made-for-TV movie or a straight-to-VHS movie, probably would have watched this one if we had in our arsenal. And it's kind of a watered-down version of Chuck Norris, but you do get to see him wreck house, and you do get to hear those sound effects. So when you're ready, you can graduate to Walker, Texas Ranger.
It's like Walker Light.
It is Walker Light. The tone of this is much more of a kid's movie than Top Dog, which had mixed signals. This one, they knew what the movie was. For me, if you're a Chuck Norris fan and you're looking to get that action movie fix, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. So for the record, thumbs down. You know, say you wanted something for your kids to acclimate them to the power of Chuck Norris, I'd give it a thumbs up.
I did see a lot of, I did make a lot of comparisons with this and Top Dog, because right off the bat, I saw the people that did it, you know, the director and the writers were all the same. So it's like, okay, well, there you go. But I agree that it was much better. The plot was just simpler, and it was a lot easier to watch. So yeah, way better than Top Dog. Also, thumbs down. Because even if it's way better than Top Dog, it's still, yeah. I don't know if it was really geared towards kids, was it? I mean, I guess, because they were kind of the main characters. The best thing about it, besides the few scenes that were just way over the top, a lot of the fight scenes that were kind of like Ernest Goes to Camp or Home Alone, kind of, that was genuinely good. I actually did laugh at one of those things. I did laugh at one point during this movie.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you, Bob, in that I have no idea, again, who this movie is for. And I mean, I guess Ernest Goes to Camp, you remember Ernest, but you don't really remember the kids from it. And like Ernest was the protagonist. But in this, the Forest Warrior is not the protagonist here.
Exactly.
He just shows up, but he's the draw for the movie. The kid actors, again, are like, they're not nearly as much a throwaway as the kid actor in Top Dog. So there's that. But I kind of wish that they were, because even though the kid actors were actually pretty good, the stuff written for them was so bad that, it just didn't work out. That said, far more action in this film than in Top Dog, and the action was way more over the top, which made it far more enjoyable to watch. I mean, Chuck Norris morphing from an eagle into a flying jump kick is like gold. But quite frankly, if you're a fan of Chuck Norris or even curious about the film, I would suggest you either steer clear or watch the 1.5 minute long official trailer on YouTube. And that's pretty much all the action from the movie and the entire plot, and you're good.
Yeah.
Let's hope you don't give us thumbs down, but I definitely give this film a thumbs down.
Okay. I really don't feel like we should be rating this. I think a kid should be rating this, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But here we are.
Again, like, the bad guys are bloodthirsty, crazy people who are willing to murder anyone to get money. And there's all this talk about lawyers, permits, arrests. There's a guy who's a drunk. A lot of stuff that's going to go over the head of most small children. So.
Well, you know, I was thinking ahead here, and I reached out to friend of the show, Mike Rooney, and he subjected his kids and his friends' kids to this movie. And what he did was they watched the movie, okay? And he did some exit interviews. So we're going to get into them right now. This is Benny, and this is Mike interviewing his son Benny about the movie here. So,
how did you like the movie?
I loved it.
You did. What was your favorite part?
Like, well, I had a lot of favorite parts. About 5. All the favorite parts of 5 battles. Hey guys.
Coach. Benny, what do you think the meaning of the movie was?
I think it was like how much you need to take care of nature.
I would say that movie is a slam dunk for a kid.
I mean,
He loves the fights and protect nature. Like, what other movies have karate fights and teach that lesson?
thumbs up. I'm taking from that. Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So we got the next one up here is Cole, who is the son of one of Mike's friends, and his dad literally wrestles alligators.
Nice.
Sick. All right. So he's in tune with the animals.
Yeah. This is his son, Cole.
Cole, what'd you think of the movie?
I think it was...
Did you like the movie?
It was a good movie. Well, one of my favorite parts was when they rebuilt the treehouse. I feel like they felt very passionate about that treehouse.
They did.
Well, what do you think the meaning behind the movie was?
That even though you might think that doing something will help, You have to remember what it will do. What will happen. What will affect it.
Okay. Deep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what he's referring to there.
You got to think about the outcome, I think is what he was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'd say Cole's a thumbs up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were passionate about the treehouse. But if you had a treehouse like that, I'd be pretty passionate about that treehouse too.
Yeah, that treehouse was legit.
Yeah. Okay. This is Mike's son, Mikey. And let's see what he has to say about this.
Mikey, did you like the movie?
Honestly, no. Too much violence.
Much violence.
What was your favorite part of the movie?
We really didn't have any favorite part.
Oh, cold.
Okay, and what do you think the movie meant?
Probably like to stay away from stuff that we really need.
You don't
Okay.
really need?
Or maybe like stay away from resources like the forest that we need. That's what I take from that.
Okay. All right. Well, he got a good message, but not a fan.
Too much violence. So he would not like Walker.
At least not now. So that's thumbs down from Mikey here. So 2 and 1. Maybe for a little female perspective on this, Mike interviewed his daughter, Adeline. Here we go.
Adeline, did you like the movie?
Yeah,
What was your favorite part of the movie?
the treehouse for daughter.
Okay, and what do you think the movie meant? You don't know. All right.
Wow.
So I guess she liked the treehouse. And that is a thumbs up.
Yeah. All right.
Shout out to Mike Rooney and Benny, Cole, Mikey, Adeline. Thank you guys for weighing in on this. We might go with their rating, honestly.
They're the target demographic, we assume.
It sounds like he hit the nail on the head on this one. But we've got one more person to check in with here. Friend of the show, Molly Blue, talked to her son, Skylar, and we've got some audio review, and he digs deep here.
What do you think of this movie that you just watched?
At first it was kind of boring.
Uh-huh.
Then, as more time passed in the movie, I liked it more and more.
Did you like it overall? You thought it was cool? What was your favorite part?
Just the end part, kind of, because
It's the last thing I remember.
the guy rolling those in 2 parts.
The bad guy?
Yeah.
So you liked it because the bad guy got, like, what he deserved?
Yeah.
Ooh,
What
vengeance.
did you think about the bear?
It was awesome to me to name him Rags.
What about the sounds that he made? What else do you think?
It's a really good movie.
You're like awesome movie?
I like it.
Okay. What about that treehouse?
I kind of want to have it.
I sort of want to have it too. Anything else you want to say about this?
One more time, I'm going to say it's really good.
That sounds like a thumbs up.
Yeah. I think Skylar's also a thumbs up. So should we say 4 out of 5 stars for this one?
Yeah, from the kiddos for sure.
I think so, yeah. Well, the reviewers have spoken, and I think for adults, it's a thumbs down. But for those kids out there, it's a thumbs up. Tree houses, cool animals, and a little bit of action.
We hope you join us next week when we return to our normal format, recapping and reviewing another bone-crushing episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. Until then, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette, and Twitter at Roundhouse Pod, and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast.
Well, thanks for listening, and until next week.
We ask you to leave it pure as found. We are to it, forever bound.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the ranger's gonna be.